In a 2018 earnings call, Elon Musk was asked if Tesla's Supercharger network could be considered a moat, a protection from competitors. Elon's answer was interesting. He started off by saying that moats are lame, and basically, if the only thing protecting you from an invading army is a moat, then you're in a lot of trouble. This flies in the face of conventional wisdom. Businesses typically follow a pattern where you build a castle and then you put a moat around it to protect it. That protection could take many forms. It can be access to raw materials, it can be access to suppliers, access to market, that kind of thing. Elon is basically saying that there's no point protecting where you are now if your intention is to constantly go forward. You don't build a moat around a moving target. So this raises the question, should you in your company or industry, should you be building a moat? Will that moat protect you, especially if somebody like Elon Musk comes calling? Elon Musk may not believe in moats, but the companies he competes with certainly do. And there are two areas of interest here. One is the competitive landscape for Tesla, and the other is for SpaceX. So, how did Elon Musk build SpaceX, an aerospace company, a space launch vehicle company, from scratch in such a competitive market where the incumbents have strong and sustainable moats? These moats are connections with government, existing technologies, existing production facilities, reputation, reliable vehicles. How was it that SpaceX was able to invade that industry? It did so not by attacking a moat of the existing way of doing business. Instead, it went to new territory. It said that it was going to make the world, or the human race rather, multiplanetary, and it was going to do that by bringing the cost of space launches down. How is it going to do that? It was going to do that by making reusable rockets, something that was lacking in the industry. And the result was that the economics of the space launch industry were pretty awful for the customers, but pretty good, pretty cushy for the providers. It meant that for every launch, you had to build a rocket at great expense, sell it to the user, and then launch it, and then it would be destroyed in the effort. And so each new launch needed, multi-millions of dollars to conduct. And so that was a reliable, if slow, revenue stream for the aerospace companies. And along comes SpaceX and says, well, we're going to make it much cheaper. And so that's going to create an effect where over time, launches should be that much more frequent. So instead of attacking where the moat was, in this instance, SpaceX went somewhere else. SpaceX is now the cheapest space launch company in existence, and it has more contracts pending than all of its competitors combined. Tesla is the newest American mass market automaker. The second newest is Chrysler, which gives you an idea of how infrequently new car manufacturers come into existence. One of the reasons for that is that there are enormous barriers to entry. There are moats around the existing companies. They have the scale, they have the reputation, they have the relationships. And it's very hard to conjure all of those up at scale immediately when you start a car company. And this was the challenge that Elon Musk faced when he took the reins of Tesla and tried to grow it into what is now the most valuable car company in the world. He did this by not attacking the existing car makers directly. He had a completely different vision for what automaking should be about. His goal was to reduce, or actually hasten, the transition away from the use of fossil fuels for transportation. And so to do that, he wanted to make a car company that would be electric only. And to do that, he understood that the batteries would have to be built at scale. And so that was the big challenge. And that was what the Gigafactory was about. This was about creating enough batteries at scale that one could have an affordable electric car. Tesla is widely regarded for its electric vehicles because they have better propulsion systems and better batteries. It's particularly in the battery technology that they're able to do so much better than the other automakers who are now making strides trying to compete in the EV space, the electric vehicle space. Kathy Wood is the founder of ARK Invest, a heavy investor in Tesla. And Kathy has described the battery technology that Elon Musk, or rather Tesla, has as a moat, as actually used that term to describe the battery technology that is letting Tesla leave its competitors behind. It's interesting that she would use that term, knowing, because this comment that she made in 2019 on CNBC actually was after the moats are lame comment in 2018 by Elon Musk. And certainly it is easy to conclude that the battery technology that Tesla has does give it a competitive advantage, and that therefore that is a moat. But again, it's this idea of a moving target. I don't think Elon is trying to defend the technology that went into the batteries of the Model S or the Model X, or certainly the Roadster. In fact, with each successive vehicle, there's an effort to improve the batteries, improve the battery management systems, the cooling systems. And so it's not about saying we're good enough, we're going to defend what we have, nobody else can have it. It's about continually going forward so that you can't be attacked where you are, because you're going to be somewhere else soon. In both cases, whether it's SpaceX or Tesla, Elon Musk didn't do a frontal assault on existing moats. He went to different ground. Now, it helps to have lots of money and the conviction to do so, but he was far more successful and actually changed the industry he was in, as opposed to trying to be another one of the members of an existing industry and the way it operates. It is very hard to hit a moving target, especially one that's receding in the distance. It's also hard to build a moat around a moving target. So Elon doesn't even try. You are welcome to compete with the cars and the technologies that were embodied in the Model S, the Model X, the Model 3, even the Model Y, because by the time you get around to copying everything he's put in those cars, he's going to have better cars, better batteries, better technology. The same applies in SpaceX. SpaceX has two perfectly good, mostly reusable rocket systems, the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy. These can handle almost all of the launch traffic or the mission profiles that satellite customers would want. And it has the lowest price per pound into orbit. And they are proven platforms. And in fact, the Falcon 9 has been human rated. It's been used to send rockets or astronauts rather to the International Space Station. So it does it all, and it does it far better than SpaceX's competitors, or far more cheaply. Nevertheless, SpaceX is not resting on its laurels. It's not relying on a moat around what it has now. It's actually trying to produce something better. SpaceX is in the process of developing the Starship, which is fully reusable and far larger even than the Falcon Heavy. And so the idea being that the majority of costs for a launch are in the vehicle, and if the vehicle is constantly being recovered, then the price of payload into orbit goes down even more than SpaceX has already accomplished. This is great, but this is an example of how there's no effort to stand and defend what you have. You're always building something better, and that is your advantage. It's the constant progress that gives you a competitive advantage, not an entrenchment. The same applies to Tesla. Tesla is not resting on its laurels either. Tesla has competitive advantages. They've been described by investors in Tesla as moats, things like their superior battery technology, their over-the-air updates, their artificial intelligence. These are things that competing automakers are behind, some people say 3, 5, 7 years before they'll catch up to Tesla. But it doesn't matter because Tesla's not going to be there in 5 years. Tesla's going to be farther ahead still. They're in the process of building new production facilities, they're working on new battery technologies to bring the price of batteries down even further. They are a moving target as well. So how can you lead like Elon? How can you act as if moats are lame and not rely on them? The instinct to build and then protect what you've built is natural, and it's as old as time. The problem is that the same moat that keeps competitors out winds up keeping us in. It keeps us in a particular position when there may be more palatable positions elsewhere. So this is the trap that the automakers find themselves in. They're extremely good at building internal combustion engine vehicles. They've been competing in that space for 100 years, and they know what they're doing. And so to give up on that and then go and try and compete in the EV space, it's difficult. And they're going to have to chip away a lot of what they've built to pursue this new thing. So even though we talk about new entrants having a hard time, if a new entrant can find a better perch from which to compete, then it really puts the incumbents in a tough position. So this is something for us all to bear in mind, is that we need to focus on where the next opportunities lie, because those opportunities, if we don't seize them, somebody else will. If you want to lead like Elon, there's really two scenarios. The first is that you lead an existing company. If that's true, then you need to develop the conviction in yourself and in the people you lead that whatever comforts the status quo provides are temporary. What that means is you're going to have to constantly look outside your moat for opportunities. The day will come when an opportunity is so great out there on the frontier that either you seize it or somebody else will. And if somebody else does, then you will be denied that by the same barriers to entry or similar barriers to entry that are preventing people from occupying the space that you're in. The problem being that the space that you're in is withering. So it's always good to look out for those things and pursue them collectively, even with an existing company. If, however, you lead a startup, things are quite different. You're not within the moat, you're on the outside. But what that means is you don't have the legacy costs of everything going on inside the moat. And so you can take a clean sheet of paper approach and look for the best opportunity. The best opportunity is rarely a direct attack on competitors with moats. It's usually something tangential, like this idea of going into electric vehicles or reusable rockets. That's where the opportunity lies. So is Elon Musk right? Are moats lame? Will he continue to move forward and not stop to defend what he has? Let me know what you think.